Welcome to the Adult Chair Podcast with Michelle Chalfant, a place to delve into who we are, how we got that way, and explore what it takes to be a healthy grown-up. With an extensive toolbox and guests with varied expertise, Michelle will lead us on a journey to learn what it's like to live authentically and to love ourselves just the way we are. And now, here's Michelle.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Adult Chair Podcast. I, of course, am Michelle Chalfant. Always so happy to be here with you. It is February 20th. We are at podcast number 198. And yeah, talking about fear. How do we overcome fear? You know, I'm going to go extreme, even paralyzing fear, because that's what I had. I want to share with you how you even overcome paralyzing fear, but any kind of fear. You know, fear is a tough one. It creeps into our lives, or a sneaky one, I should say. It sneaks in, and all of a sudden it's like we're overtaken by the little bit of fear turns into a lot of fear. So what do we do? What do we do with that fear? How do we get beyond it, move it aside, and of course, transform it? I've got the answer for you guys today. I think. I know, I should say, because it works for me and it works for others. So it's going to work for you too. What do I want to tell you about? We have just added another adult chair workshop on the calendar for April 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. That's Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Could not be happier about this. You know, leading these events is my favorite thing. I love to teach, and I love to watch people transform. It's like it happens right before our eyes. It's kind of crazy. I just saw it in Charlotte happen yet again, because the workshop kind of takes what you're learning in the podcast, and then you get to apply it in your own life for 3 days. So you're immersed in the child chair, then the adolescent chair and the adult chair, and you get to learn the energy of each chair and apply it in your own life. So we have so much fun, but you learn a lot and truly, truly transform. I could not believe what I saw in Charlotte just a month ago. It was kind of crazy to see the transformations that happen. So if you're interested, go check that out at theadultchair.com/events. You've got $100 off just for a couple more weeks. So make sure you get on that ASAP. And if you're interested in the Adult Chair Coaching Certification, this is a prerequisite. And that coaching certification starts in June. So make sure you sign up for this if you are taking the coaching certification in June. And if you want information on that, that's at theadultchair.com/certification. All right, you guys, let's talk about fear. How do we overcome fear? I listen to all of you. And then when it happens to me, I rush the podcast out because I'm like, okay, really? I got to help these people. When I start hearing from you and then it happens to me, it's just bumped to the beginning of the top of the podcast list as far as when these things get released. So this happened to me, and it was fear. You know, again, fear creeps in and out of our lives all the time. It's just a human emotion. But I had this paralyzing fear where I couldn't function. And I was like, what is going on here? So I have the answer. Yes, the answer to your prayers about fear. And I almost want to say that today's episode is a sort of add-on to the episode that I did, to episode number 195 that I did on January 30th. That one was called From Anxiety and Panic to Peace. I feel like this is sort of like a little bit of the homework that you could do to help with that process. But even if you don't have anxiety or panic, today's episode is going to help you overcome fear. So, because I shared with you in that episode how I went from really anxiety and almost a panic attack to peace in 20 minutes. And it was a 6-step process that I shared with you to really end that anxiety. But what I found after that episode over the last few weeks, it's been a month or just about a month, is that fear, you know, I became really, really hyper conscious of the emotions that I was having after the anxiety and almost panic attack that I had. And what I noticed is how sneaky fear is. It just sort of sneaks in and bubbles up. And then what I would do is I would do that 6-step process that I shared with you in that last episode, and it would feel better. But yet when the fear would come in, I'm like, what is a way I can hack this fear? Like I want to just check, like, what is going on with this fear? Why does it keep coming in? And I'd shared with you a few weeks ago all the things that I have going on in my life. And the thing is there are lots of like foundational things that are happening or changing from my home. We're renting a house now month to month, that could change any month. So there's not really a foundation of like, I don't know where we're moving, and more than likely it's going to be out of state. My kids are moving out of state. My business is changing. All of these things. It's like everything that's big and foundational in my life feels like it's in flux. It's about ready to shift and change and morph, which could be very exciting, but it's also very scary. And it certainly is triggering that ego of mine and throwing me into my adolescent chair. I think even if one of these things is going on for most people, it would make people really uncomfortable, if not anxious. And I've got every single aspect of my life is sort of up in the air. So I'm noticing this fear keeps trickling in. And of course, the universe flings things at me all at once. It's not like I have one thing going on. I have freaking everything in my life going on. So as I said before, that episode 195 is a 6-step process that I shared with you guys. So if you haven't listened to that, go check that out. It's fantastic with anxiety and panic. But with this fear that keeps creeping in, I'm like, what the heck can I do for this fear? Because as it starts to creep in, I'm like, there are so many things we can do. I mean, my goodness, I can give you 25 tools right now off the top of my head. But I said, I want to get to the root. I want to know what this is so my ego stops engaging. Because what's happening is so many things that are in flux in my life and about to change, it has to do with my future, which of course engages the ego. Because remember, anxiety is like, oh my gosh, what's coming? What's going to happen in my future? I don't know. And then the ego goes into this gigantic guessing game of this is what's going to happen. Maybe this is what's going to happen. So it's like all these stories and assumptions my ego is continuing to manifest here. And I said, how do I stop it? How do I stop the stories and assumptions even before they start? I need to get to the root. And I want to prevent myself even from sliding into the adolescent chair, because that's what I'm doing is I'm sitting in the adolescent chair figuring things out. I'm like, I don't want to go there. So I sat one day and I was like, what is it that I can do to help myself not even slide into that adolescent chair to figure anything out? And of course, what do people say? Well, you just need to trust the process. Well, hello, I know that. Like, duh. But easier said than done, because that ego gets so triggered by not knowing what the future holds. How do we again find that trust? So when I say the word trust to you, what chair comes to mind? Think. The part of us that is able to trust is the child chair. Within the inner child, we have trust. And guess what else? Within the inner child is fear, because all of our emotions that we feel are coming up through this inner child part of who we are. So the key, the missing piece, is the inner child. And I realized that with all of these big life events I have going on that are happening with me, I have not been really checking in with my inner child because I've been so busy. I've been busy doing this, busy trying to figure this out, go, Michelle, this is how I go. And yes, meditating, but not checking in with my little girl. And by the way, when I had this realization, I felt terrible. I was like, oh, that's where all this little fear, this fear that's blossoming into paralyzing fear. I mean, this one day, my God, I just sat there. I was like, I can't even move. I'm paralyzed with this fear. So I sat this day and I said, let me check in with her. And this was the day I had the paralyzing fear. I mean, literally, I was like, I can't even think. Everything, I felt frozen. And I sat on my couch, closed my eyes, and checked in with my little Michelle. And the one that I checked in with was shaking and crying. She looked like she was about 3 years old. And I said, oh my gosh. She was sort of like pushed up against the wall, like bracing herself for something awful to happen, which, by the way, is what my thoughts were doing to me. All those assumptions like, oh my God, what if this happens? And this is going to be bad. And I said, wait. So That's what was triggering all this fear, of course. So I'm closing my eyes. I'm checking in with my 3-year-old. Normally I get my 5-year-old, but for some reason my 3-year-old was sitting there shaking and had her hands over her head and shaking and crying and in the corner against the wall. And I said, oh my gosh. I said, I'm here. And I said, I'm here. I've taken a journey back to find you and to check in with you. I'm here. I'm so sorry I haven't been here. I'm here now. And I said, would you like to come to me? And she looked up and like basically ran or flew across the room and jumped into my arms. And I placed my hand on my heart and I took this deep breath and I just kept repeating, I'm here for you. I'm here. I've got you. And I said it really slowly, like, I am here. I'm so sorry I haven't been here, but I'm here now. And she was shaking and she said, I'm so scared. She says, I'm all alone. Again, when I heard that, I was like, oh my gosh, I feel terrible. I said, I'm here. I'm so sorry I've not checked in. I said, I have been distracted and I will not let that happen again. I'm so sorry. And she was gripping onto me for dear life. She just hugged me and clung to me. And I just closed my eyes and I bonded with her. And I think I was doing a little bit of rocking. I love to rock. And I reminded her that I'm always here and she's never alone, but I have been distracted and I'm so sorry. I will start checking in with her again. Especially I find when I'm going through a lot, the ego gets engaged, and the more I'm going through, the more I do. And we have to do the opposite. And I had just forgotten, to be perfectly honest with you, I just had forgotten. And I don't, in the beginning of doing all my work many years ago, I used to check in every single day with my inner child. And that was where I did tremendous amounts of really beautiful work and transformational work. But as I went on, days would go by and then I'd try to check in if I remembered, like once a week, but usually every 2 weeks I would, in a meditation, like on a Sunday morning, I would make sure I was checking in with my child. Well, I realized it had been weeks. I'm like, oh gosh, it's been so long. I need to check in with her. So I just sat there for like 5 or 10 minutes with her. It was beautiful. And you know what, you guys, that paralyzing fear in 10 minutes, it was gone. I kid you not. And I realized it was her. It was my little girl that was having this paralyzing fear. And the more I went without checking in with her, the more fear was taking over her little body, which was taking over Michelle's adult body. So what a lesson. Oh my goodness. I was like, I will never let this long go by without checking in with her. It is such important work. And I was letting my, adolescent chair like run my day or not my day, but run at least these ideas of like, you don't have time to do that. Just do this, just do this. I'm like, no, out of balance. So now, since then, I've been checking in with her every single day. I just want to tell you, she's happy as a clam. Typically, she smiles and just says, I love you. And I'll say, I love you too. I'm here. I just want to remind you I'm here. It literally takes like a minute or two. And I'm just checking in quickly. And sometimes she hugs me, but mostly she's just kind of playing at my feet or she's playing nearby. And since that day, I've had 0, all capital 0, paralyzing fear. And if the fear happens to creep in even a teeny tiny bit, I immediately close my eyes. I don't care where I am. Well, if I'm driving, I just check in with her as if she's sitting next to me. But if I'm in a place where I can close my eyes, I do. And take 1 minute. And it's like I'm back in my adult. Because remember, the part of us that's directing us to even check in with the child is the adult. So it's so beautiful when we do inner child work because we're engaging adult chair energy and the child energy all at the same time. So it's engaging both. So again, if you enjoyed that last podcast, the 195 about anxiety and panic, please add this step, which I might call step number 7 to the list of your daily homework or your daily routine. It takes 1 minute and it's so worth it. But if you'd like to practice right now, you can get started right away. If you're feeling fear or if you're feeling off or if you're feeling anything, the inner child part of us, you guys, is the part that is like the container or the source, I should say, for our emotions. So check in. check in and see what's going on. This little part of us is no more than 6 years old. It's 0 to 6. So if you close your eyes, this is how you do it. You just drop inside with curiosity from the person you are today. Don't drop in from your adolescent and be a teenager and yell at your little child. You want to be the adult you are today. And just check in. Check in. Who's inside? What are they? If you're visual, you're going to probably see them. You'll get really clear visuals or like a movie that's playing. If you don't see them, just sense them. Maybe you're just someone that's more audio and you'll hear them. That's fine too. The big takeaway though is like, what messages do they have for you? How are they? When you check in with them, what do you sense? Are they upset? Are they happy? Do they have messages for you? Working with your inner child is so powerful. It's one of the most powerful processes. Sometimes I want you to know your inner child might be upset or angry. It's no different than your little inner child being scared or fearful like mine was. Let them be that way. If they're angry, just listen and be there for them as you would any small child. No judgment, no criticism. Many of our inner children are abandoned or hiding because when we were little, we had to do that. That energy is just sort of gone or abandoned. Or again, like sometimes I feel like it's in the basement or it's locked away in a closet. Sometimes I hear from people that don't want to connect with their inner child. They have fear or anger about it. I want to invite you to do it from the person you are today. The person you are today, the you that's healthy, the you that wants to transform. Connect with that beautiful and innocent little part of you. That's the inner child part. Even if they're angry, so what? Let them be angry. They just want to get it out to see if you're going to still be there with them. They want to know, like, even if I'm angry, are you still going to be here? Because maybe in your life when you were growing up with your mom or your dad, they didn't stay, or grandparents or whomever raised you. But let that little kid inside of you know that no matter what, you're going to be there. You will be there. Doesn't matter what they say. Because you're stronger, you're clear. So regardless of what happened in your past, be patient and see what comes when you get curious about who's inside of you. And if you're not great at visualizing or you want a different way to do this, journaling is a wonderful way to connect with your inner child. Just let your hand go and see what comes up. At the top of the paper, just write, where's my little inner child? Or I'd like to connect with my inner child. Where are you? And see what comes. Like your hand will just start writing. Drawing and painting is another way. So if you want some help with this process, a few years ago, it's been up for a while, but I created a free inner child guide and it's free, 100% free. It contains 2 guided meditations and journaling prompts. It's just on my website. Just go to go to theadultchair.com/inner child. It's all to help you connect and bond with this little inner part of you. It is so powerful. The meditations will help teach you how to find your inner child. One of them is a beautiful guided meditation that walks you through a journey to help you find your inner child. And then I've got the journaling prompts to help you really bond with that part of you. But it's honestly, again, one of the most powerful transformational processes on my healing journey. And the best part of reconnecting with my inner child is that my fear is at bay. So if you'd like that to happen, check in with your inner child. It's totally gone. And I've even seen deeper peace with all of my future unknowns in my life. I mean, what a gift is that? Because within the inner child, remember, is trust. So the more I connect with her, the more I'm able to trust the journey, trust the process, trust my flow, trust the flow state that whatever is coming for me is going to be perfect and right on time, right on divine time. So I will put all of these links in the show notes for you, including the certification shown in the show notes as well. Anyway, I hope this is helpful for you guys. It really, really, really has transformed me yet again. I love these tools within the adult chair. It's just like using them at different times that maybe I wouldn't think to use them. They keep transforming us. So please use this. Have fun with working with your inner child. And yeah, let me know how you're doing with it. I love to hear and read what you guys are doing on social media. So if you want to join me on Instagram, just go to Michelle Chalfant, which is CHALFANT. And if you want to join me on Facebook, I've got a Michelle Chalfant page. And if you want to join us in the Adult Chair closed group, you can come join us there. I love reading about what's going on with you. So, all right. That's about it for today, you guys. Enjoy the rest of your week and your weekend, and I will see you next week, seated right here, me and my inner child, right here next week in the adult chair. Have a great week.